Cause you're a sky full of stars. Já multiplicou muitas vezes.
Reporters on France 24 and France24.com.
You're watching live from Paris here on France 24. I'm Haxie Myers-Belkin. The headlines today. England braces for stricter COVID measures to halt the spread of the highly infectious Omicron variant. More masks indoors and an order to work from home where possible from next week. Burkina Faso's Prime Minister resigns along with the government amid growing anger at perceived inaction in the face of the jihadist attacks that have claimed thousands of lives in recent years. And Canada becomes the latest country to announce a diplomatic boycott of the Winter Olympics in Beijing, China hitting back at what it calls political posturing. Great to have you with us. Also coming up in the programme today, tens of thousands of people flock to the French city of Lyon to marvel at a city transformed. Last year's world-famous Fête des Lumières, or the Festival of Lights, was cancelled thanks to COVID. This year, it's a very different story. It's not a lockdown, it's Plan B. In the face of surging rates of COVID infection, turbocharged by the new Omicron variant, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has announced a series of new restrictions for England. They include mask mandates for most public spaces, work from home guidance and, most controversially, the introduction of a COVID passport for a series of high-capacity venues. Nick Rushworth has the latest.
The question on many people's lips is, what's my Christmas going to be like? Restrictions on daily life are being beefed up in England to try and rein in the spread of the COVID variant Omicron. The UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson says it is not a lockdown, it is Plan B.
It's now the proportionate and the responsible thing to move to Plan B in England, while continuing to work closely with our colleagues in the devolved administrations, so we slow the spread of the virus.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
Concretely, key measures in Plan B include teleworking from Monday onwards. A requirement to wear a mask has been extended to most indoor public places, and a COVID health pass is mandatory for people going to nightclubs and larger venues. The Omicron variant is expected to become the dominant strain in Britain in the next 2 to 4 weeks. The tighter restrictions will buy time to push on with the booster jab campaign that is underway. The restrictions come as Johnson and his government face increasing pressure over a report Downing Street staff enjoyed a Christmas party that breached the coronavirus rules last winter.
Mr. Speaker.
The revelations have angered many.
The ones who attended a party when they've had other people all over saying, no, you can't do anything. It's just outrageous, isn't it?
It's one rule for one and one for another. It should be one rule for everybody.
Would the Prime Minister condone having a Christmas party?
A government advisor has resigned following leaked footage concerning an alleged Downing Street party. A parliamentary inquiry has begun. The police say they won't investigate allegations COVID rules were violated.
And it was not socially distanced.
Some encouraging news now from pharmaceutical giant Pfizer. The company says that preliminary results of a lab test show that 3 doses of its Pfizer-BioNTech COVID vaccine appear to be effective against the new Omicron variant of COVID-19, but that 2 doses probably wouldn't. Those findings have yet to be peer-reviewed. Vedika Bahel reports.
The world is still scrambling to understand the true threat posed by the Omicron coronavirus variant, first discovered last month in South Africa. Those scientists are alarmed by the speed at which it transmits, and it's been detected in more than 50 countries. It's unclear whether Omicron causes less serious symptoms or if it's mutated further than previous vaccines. But Pfizer-BioNTech Laboratories said Wednesday that a 3rd booster of their jab could be effective against the variant.
Laboratory studies demonstrate that 3 doses of our vaccine neutralize the Omicron variant, whereas 2 doses show significantly reduced neutralization of this new variant.
However, the World Health Organization feels it's too soon to say whether this is accurate, as Pfizer's data is preliminary and yet to undergo a scientific review. It urged countries to keep their guard up, adding that the variant may more easily infect people who'd had the virus or been vaccinated, but that we still don't know enough.
Emerging data from South Africa suggests increased risk of reinfection with Omicron, but more data are needed to draw firmer conclusions. There is also some evidence that Omicron causes milder disease than Delta, but again, it's still too early to be definitive.
Omicron's discovery has triggered new restrictions worldwide as countries race to protect themselves and boost inoculation rates. Global vaccine producers are already tweaking their recipes in case an Omicron-specific dose is needed, with production expected to get underway early 2022.
The Prime Minister of Burkina Faso has resigned along with his government. Christophe Joseph Marie Dabay's departure comes amid growing street protests at the state's inability to fight a wave of jihadist attacks in the country. The outgoing administration will remain in a caretaker capacity until the formation of a new government. Yinka Oyatade has the details.
Amid a wave of jihadist violence in Burkina Faso and growing anger from the population, Prime Minister Christophe Dabire becomes the first political casualty after resigning from office on Wednesday.
I invite all Burkinabe to mobilize to support the President of Burkina Faso and the new executive that will be put in place. I remain convinced that it is only through unity of action that we will be able to meet the challenges facing our country and our people. Long live Burkina Faso.
Dabire's departure comes nearly a month after one of the worst attacks on its armed forces in recent memory. Over 50 people, including dozens of military officers, were killed when Al-Qaeda-linked fighters stormed a police camp in the north of the country. Days later, hundreds took to the streets of Ouagadougou, calling for the government to do more to protect those on the front lines. Protesters argued President Gabourey's security policies were insufficient. The current reshuffling government comes as no surprise. After the last deadly attack, President Gabourey stressed the need for a stronger cabinet.
Oui, j'ai compris votre message, qui nous invite à un changement de paradigme.
French forces in the region have also been accused of not doing enough to stop the mounting violence. Last month, protesters blocked a French military convoy for days as it made its way through the country to neighboring Niger. Since 2015, around 2,000 people have been killed in jihadist attacks. More than 1.5 million have been left displaced.
7 United Nations peacekeepers from Togo have been killed in central Mali and 3 more critically injured. The group was travelling in a car that detonated an improvised explosive device, bringing the total death toll of UN soldiers in the troubled West African nation to 19 in 2021 alone. Instability in the country has soared in recent years, with civilians facing the brunt of the violence. Now, an important step in France's attempt to repair deeply damaged relations with Algeria. Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian is back in France after holding talks with President Abdelmajid Tebboune in Algiers. The relationship reached a low point in October when President Emmanuel Macron questioned the existence of an Algerian nation before French colonial rule and suggested that Algeria still harboured a hatred of France. Here's Jean-Yves Le Drian.
We hope that the dialogue we have relaunched now can lead to a resumption of political exchanges between our governments in 2022. Beyond the wounds of the past that we have to face, and beyond the misunderstandings that need to be overcome, I hope that our two countries can, together, get back on track to a peaceful relationship and can look towards the future.
It was a case of mistaken identity after all. A Saudi man arrested by French police on suspicion of playing a role in the murder of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi has now been released. Police were acting on a Turkish warrant for a man named Khalid al-Otaibi, but they later confirmed that while the man they had did have the same name as the wanted man and even the same place and month of birth, it was not, in fact, the person they wanted. Canada has now become the latest Western nation to announce a diplomatic boycott of the Beijing Winter Olympics over human rights abuses in China and notably against the Muslim Uyghur minority in Xinjiang province. The US, the UK and also Australia have said they won't be sending any officials to the event. The World Uyghur Congress welcoming those decisions, saying that the Olympics should not be held in any country that commits genocide. Here's Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
We are extremely concerned by the repeated human rights violations by the Chinese government. That is why we are announcing today that we will not be sending any diplomatic representation to the Beijing Paralympic Games this winter.
Earlier we spoke to Vancouver-based journalist Craig McCulloch about the increasingly troubled relationship between Canada and China in recent years.
Meng Wanzhou, the chief financial officer of Huawei, was arrested here in Vancouver almost 3 years ago this month. Within the week, 2 Canadians were arrested over in China, the 2 Michaels, as they were called, Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig. When a plea deal was reached with Ms. Meng back in late September, October, after an hour of her getting on a flight here at the same airport she was arrested at, the 2 Michaels were coincidentally released. And the Beijing government said, no, it's just a coincidence. That was in 1 hour of Meng Wanzhou getting on a plane and taking off. And again, we have the case of Robert Schellenberg, who is a man from, ironically, Vancouver. He's from a suburb called Abbotsford, who was arrested a number of years ago on drug smuggling charges. He was initially put to trial and sentenced to 15 years. After Ms. Meng was arrested, he went back to trial again, and his sentence was upped from 15 years to the death sentence. And so far, from what we understand, that hasn't taken place yet. Also, just this past week, the ambassador from Canada to Beijing, Dominic Barton, announced that he was resigning. And it was in news a couple of days ago about who Mr. Trudeau is going to appoint to fill that position, which is obviously going to be a very tenuous position going forward.
And we have just learnt that France will not be participating in that diplomatic boycott of the Beijing Olympics. Now, Baroque buildings transformed into magical underwater scenes and fountains illuminated with colourful twinkling flowers. It can only be one thing. La Fête des Lumières, or the Festival of Lights, has opened in the French city of Lyon, a year after the event was cancelled because of COVID. It's set to last a total of 4 days, and those who were there for the opening were not disappointed.
This is perhaps the most beautiful show I have seen so far. I've been here since around 9 p.m. and frankly, it's just beautiful.
It's unbelievable. I think it's very nice. The lights are beautiful. It's been very interesting. It's a great show. I find it very enjoyable to watch.
There are lots of illuminations, and it's nice that people can come together despite the hardships of this last year and still be able to discover Lyon through the light show. It's always so nice. The weather may not be the greatest tonight, but we're still going to enjoy it.
A reminder now of our top stories today. England braces for stricter COVID measures to halt the spread of the highly infectious Omicron variant, more masks indoors and an order to work from home where possible from next week. Burkina Faso's Prime Minister resigns along with the government amid growing anger at perceived inaction in the face of the jihadist attacks that have claimed thousands of lives in recent years. And Canada becomes the latest country to announce a diplomatic boycott of the Winter Olympics in Beijing. China hitting back at what it calls political posturing, but France says it will not participate in that diplomatic boycott. Well, it's time now for some business news, and for that I'm joined in the studio by Stephen Carroll. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Haxie.
We're starting in the United States, where a boss who fired hundreds of his employees on a Zoom call has now apologised.
The video of Vishal Garg was shared widely online in recent days. The CEO of mortgage company Better.com announced over Zoom that the 900 staff who were on the call were losing their jobs. Garg faced fury on social media. He's now apologised, saying he blundered through the layoffs. Andrew Hillier reports.
This is a good example of how not to handle a mass firing. When Vishal Garg summoned 900 of his now former employees to a Zoom call, few could have guessed what would come next.
If you're on this call, you are part of the unlucky group being laid off. Your employment here is terminated, effective immediately.
Garg's mass layoff hit Better.com staff like a bombshell, triggering outrage. The video was leaked and quickly went viral. After mounting criticism, the CEO of the mortgage startup posted an apology to the company website.
I realized that the way I communicated this news made a difficult situation worse. I am deeply sorry and am committed to learning from this situation and doing more to be the leader that you expect me to be.
And yet there's more.
Words that ring hollow for former staff like Christian Chapman, who says Garg's behaviour reflects the growing callousness of some corporate bosses.
I think it's a lack of empathy. I think it's the quintessential corporate top percentage saying I'm choosing numbers over people. And I think it struck a chord with everybody saying, aha, see, I told you, they don't care. They don't care at all.
Better.com has grown rapidly since it was founded in 2016. The company is aiming to go public in a deal valuing it at almost €7 billion. But despite that success, the CEO cuts a controversial figure in the business world. Last year, he made the cover of Forbes magazine for calling his staff dumb dolphins in an internal email.
Let's take a look at what's happening on the markets next for you. European shares starting the day with some small gains following a trend that we saw starting on Wall Street yesterday. This was after Pfizer announced that their vaccine was effective against the Omicron variant, leading to some of the fears over that variant receding for investors on the markets. That's the picture at the European Open today. In Asia, a little bit more mixed. We had the Nikkei in Tokyo closing in the red, but that's after several days of gains on the Japanese markets. Elsewhere, Shanghai, Hong Kong and Kospi all trading up.
OK, Stephen, now lawmakers in the US have told the boss of Instagram that they want more regulation of social media.
Adam Mosseri was speaking to the Senate Committee on Consumer Protection. Senators quizzing him on the harmful effects of Instagram on young users. Mosseri argued that the service could help struggling young people. He proposed that an industry body could set best practices for social media companies, but senators say that new laws are needed to regulate the sector.
We're heading now to Turkey, where the president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, is defending his policy choices despite a slump in the value of the currency.
Yeah, Erdogan says that people should be patient and trust his government's economic model. The lira has plunged to record lows against the dollar and inflation has spiralled. James Vecina has more.
Lining up to buy cut-price bread in Istanbul's Sultan Gazi district, a traditional stronghold of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and his AK party. But even here, residents are losing patience.
The government must change, because for 20 years it's been the same system, the same politics.
The situation is really bad. It's not just me. People are really struggling.
With loaves selling for roughly half the price of that of a standard bakery, output has almost doubled to meet the demand. A decision taken by Istanbul's mayor as a response to the growing crisis.
We are processing 1.5 million loaves of bread, and there are still queues. So it's not enough. It's a clear sign of poverty. This current situation is not merely an economic crisis, it's a political crisis. I see this as a reflection of an inability to run the country.
As the lira continues to plunge, thousands have been taking to the streets, calling for Erdogan to resign. But the president is urging the population to trust him, reassuring Turks that low interest rates will bring the cost of living down. Inflation surpassed 21% last month, reaching a 3-year high.
Some of these steep prices will come down again soon. Unfortunately, one of the reasons for the extortionate price rises in our country is the greedy opportunists.
While Erdogan says his ultimate goal is lasting prosperity and stability, the priority for many Turks for now is an immediate change to crippling inflation.
That's the latest business news, Haxie.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Wasn't quite sure which one of us was going to speak first, but it ended up being you. We got there in the end. Stephen Carroll with the day's top stories. Thank you very much. We're going to cross over the desk now for today's business. Oh, no, we just done that. Well, let's start again. We're going to cross over the table to speak with Alison Sargent, who's going to take us through today's newspapers. You're starting in the UK. A huge amount of anger there at, what we now know was a Christmas party at number 10 Downing Street last year during Christmas when London was under very strict COVID restrictions.
This so-called Partygate scandal has really hit a personal note for people in the UK, many of them who were making big sacrifices at the time. One such story is on the front page of the Edinburgh Evening News. It's from an ICU nurse. He says, while they were partying, I was caring for people who were dying. Meanwhile, the cartoonist Dave Brown for left-wing paper The Independent shows Boris Johnson as Ebenezer Scrooge being haunted by his ghost of Christmas past. He's trying to cover it up there with the new Plan B COVID measures that he announced yesterday, but you see that his nose, elongated from all of the lies, has ripped right through it. The paper asks in their editorial, who now can take the Prime Minister seriously? Johnson's credibility does really seem to be at stake here. There's a lot of criticism coming from his own party, as well as from conservative papers. Right-wing tabloid The Sun pictures him as the Grinch on their front page. He's telling the public to do as I say, not as I Christmas do. The paper is also noting that the public now has 4 new restrictions, but the government only has one rule that applies: do as you please until you get found out.
OK, we're going to move on to some French politics next. It seems like the idea of rallying behind the left, of the left rallying behind a single candidate, that idea may now be back on the table.
That's after a socialist candidate, Anne Hidalgo, said in a televised interview last night that she was for the idea of holding a left-wing primary. Libération's headline here seems to be mocking her a little bit today. Retour en primaire, which suggests both a return to the idea of a primary, but also a return to primary school. The paper reminds us that all previous attempts to get left-wing candidates to agree to holding a primary have failed, and Libé notes that this call from Anne Hidalgo seems to be in part a way of putting herself sort of back at the center of the debate. She is polling at around a dismal 4%. Meanwhile, Haxie, there is one woman who might be capable of uniting the left, and we read in Le Monde that she may be considering entering the race. This is Christiane Taubira, France's former justice minister. The paper writes that all it took was one article from BFM citing her entourage, saying that maybe she was considering a run. Now it is all that anyone on the left is talking about. But Le Monde points out that Taubira herself has said nothing yet about her intentions, and she has played with the emotions of voters on the left in this way before. So her participation does remain a very big if.
OK, well, we're heading now to New Zealand, where the government's made the rather extraordinary decision to move to ban cigarettes for an entire generation for the the entirety of their lives.
That's right. This goal is to create a smoke-free generation. It's the very first plan of its kind. How would it work? Well, the Australian paper, the Sydney Morning Herald, explains that all of those aged 14 and under, when the law comes into effect, which would probably be next year, would be banned from smoking for their entire lives. The paper notes that smoking kills 14 people in New Zealand every day, and that native Maori people are disproportionately impacted. So New Zealand's government was actually concerned that without taking such a drastic measure, that the Maori population in particular would never get free of the cigarette addiction. Now, despite health officials praising this move, the New Zealand Herald is expressing some concern that the legislation could feed an already growing black market for cigarettes. The paper cites critics of the ban who say that prohibition has never worked. They say the best way to wean people off of tobacco is to offer more vaping products and to lower the percentage of nicotine that's in cigarettes.
Okay, well, heading now to Saudi Arabia, where dozens of contestants at a beauty pageant have been essentially expelled for using Botox.
That's right, and the twist here, Haxie, is that this was a beauty pageant for camels. We read in The Guardian that breeders had used Botox to enlarge their lips and heads, used hormones to boost their muscles, and inflated other body parts with rubber bands, which I have to say I'm not even sure how that functions.
I don't think I want to know too much about that.
Right. Altogether, over 40 camels had to be disqualified. For me, it's further proof that the beauty pageant industry is quite toxic for everyone, including animals, whenever they're involved.
Well, staying on the topic of beauty with this last story, it reminds us that ugliness can sometimes be extremely desirable.
Well, that is certainly the case when it comes to holiday sweaters. We read in Libération that there is a line of extremely kitschy holiday sweaters made by the discount German grocery store Lidl that have become the hot item of the season. You see them here. They cost just $8.99 each and have completely sold out in Belgium. They're set to be released in France next week. Libération explains that the passion for the sweaters and for Lidl's other merchandise really shows the success of the brand's strategy of turning any shame from Lidl being a low-cost store into a sense of community and pride. The paper also salutes Lidl's marketing team for its perfect understanding of so-called drop culture, which is releasing only a limited amount of a product to create added hype around it. So Haxie, if you want one, anyone who does, save the date. They come out in France on December 16th, and there will not be very many of them available.
Put me on the waiting list. Alison Sargent with a look through today's papers. Thank you very much. Well, that's all we have time for right now. There is, of course, more news coming up in just a few minutes' time. And coming up in focus today, we meet the French archaeologists getting back to work, uncovering the hidden treasures of ancient Egypt after months of COVID-induced delays. Do stay tuned.
They're known for their cuisine and saying hello with a kiss. They only work 35 hours per week, when they're not on strike, that is. How true are these clichés about France? Every week, Florence Villeminot tears apart stereotypes. Join us for insight into French culture and current events to understand what makes the French so unique.
French Connections, presented by Florence Villeminot on France 24 and France24.com. Fake news. Noun. False stories that appear to be news, spread on the internet or using other media. At France 24, our job is to provide you with information that's been verified. We check sources, we check facts, we sort what is true from what is fake.
At the France 24 Observers, we verify photos and videos circulating online. If they're fake, we let you know and tell you how we spotted them.
In Fact or Fake, we dig into viral stories around Europe to shake out the truth from the trash.
Every day, the Info Migrants team scours social networks to fight fake news about the reality of migration.
France 24, news based on facts.
Liberté, égalité, actualité. A program about women who are reshaping our world. We meet those who seek equality, be it in the boardroom or at the village well. The 51% brings you stories from across the globe about the women who are challenging the way we think.
The 51%, presented by Annette Young on France 24 and France24.com.
Isabela, Puerto Rico, and we're checking out the skate park where Jody is shining over all of us. Yeah! Is it working? It looks insane. Let's see it, Jokes. Yeah! This is
Yep, what?
a 1974 retro quad. What quads even made in the 70s? 5'6". Let's see how our math is. Just like 10.
It's like 20 inches.
Like 20 inches?
19 and a half. That's pretty good.
You got the wings. You got the chop tail.
Hit it, Rella.
Should I? Yeah. All right.
The storm is on its way. Rolanda is still out there. Oh! Oh! Yeah! It's like the hand shape's going pretty well.
What?
It's like the hand shape's going good.
Is it ripping? Or are you saying I was ripping?
You're ripping out there.
Yeah,
You're really shredding.
I'm gonna just keep on ripping.
Here, let me grab one. What a great...
Oh, I just got so much.
What a great trip.
Yep. It's because you want what you can't have. We can't have, I know. But it doesn't make sense. It never makes sense.
It shouldn't be a game. It shouldn't be simple.
drove around the island.
Wait, actually...
Looking for waves. We fucking found absolutely nothing.
Wind was everywhere. Can I get everyone in front of the
You would think that in a little island somewhere will be offshore. But no.
Nope.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looking for some waves, taking shallow waves.
Yeah.
Feeling alright. Living the dream.
Feels good. In my mouth.
Now we're gonna holler, and I won't bother catching the wind.
Put it in my mouth. Shove it in my mouth. All the way in the back of my mouth. Yeah, yeah, I love me a good breadfruit. Hurting in my finger. Hurting in my toe. Joe Schmo.
Right.
Damien, the omen, because you're the devils, you're the demons, and you know that. Your music, rock and roll, is a satanic music. When they say you turn around, you make the music go back, and you hear Satan speak. You make the music go back, you hear Satan speak. You make the music go back, you hear Satan speak. You make the music go back, you hear Satan speak. You make the music go back, you hear Satan
In a few moments, you will have an experience which will seem completely real. It will be the result of your subconscious fears transformed to your conscious awareness. Warning, this tape must not be played by government personnel. It can be extremely harmful and result in severe trauma. You have 5 seconds to terminate this tape. 5, 4, 3, deranged. Now I am cured. I ask only to be shot while my mind is still clean.
Fuck you looking at?
Make sure you feel good. Why not make yourself feel really good?
exceeds expectations. Angelique's is really good.
Hello.
So we're just arriving at the African Perfection. Here's where we're staying for the next few nights. And it's the Aloe again, which has like this communal area upstairs, a really nice pool table game, which Chloe's so excited to have, and Angelique already found a cat.
So this is our room. The girls get a bunk bed and I get the big double bed. Really nice and spacious. This is the game room. They have pool and a soccer game. We are in the shared area that has a kitchen and a TV and a living room and a game room.
We're going to discover a beautiful waterfall. What I'm expecting it to be is going to be like a waterfall with a zip line going into a lagoon. That's what I think it's going to be. Jeffrey's Bay definitely needs to try this. He does. So right now they're having a special night, and it's like Monday night curry night. And so you go and you weigh your food, and then so you pay for what you eat, and it looks delicious, really good.
So here is where you can go and see some like dolphins and whales watching. So that's quite cool. You can go there. Here is the shop store. They have Roxy and a whole bunch of different surfing stores.
It's
right
called
here.
Surf Village.
So lots of surf shops and everything you can do for surfing.
And they have surf camps and everything down here. So as you can see, it's a really kind of small little area, but it has a lot to offer in just a small little area with shops and inns. There's inns everywhere all along the coast. All right, off we go for a day in Jeffrey's Bay. We're gonna go experience the Shell Museum. That's really a big highlight to go see if you're here. And we're also going to maybe hit up some of the stores because we haven't seen all of them, and as girls, we've got to go see all the options first, right? So that's what we're gonna do. So first stop before we hit the Shell Museum is we're gonna go check out and see if we see any of the surfers, because where we're staying is kind of shared accommodations and they're out here surfing, so we can see, and we're gonna see if we can spot any of those dolphins that we're looking for too. Let's see. Chloe, can you see really good with your binoculars? Sort of? Is it them?
What?
Is it them?
I don't think so.
No? Watch this, girls. See this big wave coming at her? Do you think she's gonna hit it? Here she goes. She's starting to paddle. And oh, she missed it. Oh. Here comes another big wave. I think she's gonna try and ride this one. Here she goes. Paddles, 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 and she's up. Yay, she did it. So here we bumped into this guy here, JJ, and JJ, he's gonna give us a personal tour. And so it's not something that's like mandatory that he has to do, but he's doing that, and he does that for most visitors coming here, and then that way you get to learn about all the different shells and everything that it has to offer.
This is our Jeffreys Bay shells. These are all the shells that have been picked up here on our Jeffreys Bay coast. But then, because we call it the Jeffreys Bay shells, it doesn't necessarily mean that these shells, you won't find them anywhere else in the world. You might find maybe one or two of these shells along your eastern coast of South Africa. So basically your warm waters, you might find maybe one or two of the Jeffreys Bay shells along those coasts there. This shell right here, that we're going on today, we call it a paper nautilus shell. The thing is, you see, with that shell, it's a very soft shell. It's very delicate, it breaks very easy. Now, right over here, I've got this sample. You can take it there, man.
Want to feel it, girls?
Yeah, I've got a sample there for you guys to feel how soft the shell is. And I've got a picture here of how it looks. This is how the animal looks with the shell still intact with the animal. They come from the octopus family.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
The mouth of the whale?
Yeah. So it's just a small piece from that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just a small piece from that. You see, what happens is the whales use that to filter the food that they're gonna be eating. So what happens is when it's time for a whale to feed, it would swallow like these gallons of liters of water, right?
Yeah.
And then whatever comes in with the water gets filtered or gets stuck in those hairs on that thing there. And then that's what the whale is gonna be eating for the time being there.
So which ones are they, girls, that we were supposed to remember? Those red berry shells. Okay.
Yeah. And then we've got this one right here, the world record-sized shell for Jeffreys Bay.
So this is the biggest shell they found in Jeffreys Bay.
Yeah, so they call it the big shell of Jeffreys Bay.
Yeah.
It's the biggest one they've found so far. Here. So there you go. That is so cool.
There's a animal, there's a dog, there's more mouse.
That is so neat.
Cool facts about seahorses is that when they lay their eggs, the female lays the eggs in the husband or the male, because the male has a pouch, almost like a kangaroo. So the male keeps it for about 45 days, right? And apparently they're very playful, like the little babies. They don't eat anything that's already dead, so it has to be alive.
And what was it saying about, like, it's strange looking? It looks like a pony. It's got breasts like a pigeon, a tail like a monkey, eyes of a chameleon.
one to judge. You said you've had enough and that you really wanna be with me. What you get is more than what you see. At first you struck me like any other girl that I could find. But when you looked me in the eyes, I knew that this was right. You're a pretty girl with a pretty name, but I'm pretty sure that you're not the same. Feels like you read my mind, and there's more than meets the eye. With you, with you, with you, oh, with you, with you, with you, oh. I was the one to judge. You said you've had enough and that you really wanna be with me. What you get is more than what you see. At first you struck me like.
Yeah. We are now officially done our first lesson of surfing in Je Vista.
Pretty girl with a pretty name, but I'm
Now having lunch at the in-food restaurant.
and there's more than meets the eye. Pretty girl,
Shopping. We love shopping.
that you're not the same. Feels like you read my mind, and there's more than meets the eye.
I thought it'd be really cool to show you guys where we're staying because it's kind of unique, has a really nice atmosphere here, and it's a co-sharing home. So here, let's go on a quick tour. So when you come in, this is what the house looks like, and Julia's there. She's going to show us. It has like the whole upstairs unit and everything. So let's start by showing our rooms, I guess, where we're staying.
So this is like where you come in, bedrooms. These are our rooms. Us girls. And this one's my parents.
Yeah. So the room's like huge and spacious.
We have like a small kitchen, bathroom,
Yeah.
nice bed, and it leads outside, which is really nice. We have a little nice sitting area.
Uh-huh.
And it comes up to this like relaxed area.
Yeah, so everything's shared. So everyone has access to this facility and space. Here they have a like hammock in the far corner, and it looks like here you can have bonfires and just a nice evening of sitting. So let's go back around. It's definitely like Jeffreys Bay that you get all the surfers, so all the surfers are here. Angelique, do you want to show me your room really fast? Yeah. Okay, show me. We'll go back over here and then I'll show you upstairs. Here they have a zone where you can like share books, leave books. And then this is the girls' room. Hopefully it's not too messy. Looks good. So they get their own bed here, and then they've got a whole bunk bed set up and their own bathroom. So that's pretty cool. And then let's go upstairs and show them upstairs.
Okay, so when you come up here, first you have your kitchen, like this. It's a nice big kitchen. It's very organized, so you know where everything is.
Yeah, they did a good job at that. They put like all the different signs for everything so you know where everything goes.
Yeah, like this little sink here. Then each room gets their own cabinet with their label on it. So shared fridges. It's nice and big.
Fridges, and then the dishes area over there.
Then right here is the sharing cupboard. So everyone puts whatever they want to share in there.
That's cool.
Or they want to leave. You have this like sitting area.
It's really well like made up, so there's like this whole space there.
Yeah. Sitting area, there's some games, which is fun to do. Then you have like your lounge area.
This is smart for the young kids. They even put like Legos and stuff. I thought that was really just brilliant. And then there's even sand toys. I don't know if you guys caught on to that. And then all the games, like Julia said. They have the most comfiest couches, don't they?
Yeah, this one's like so comfy.
So this is the whole area, and then
you have pool and a tennis ball.
that's the coolest thing ever, isn't it?
And then you have a nice view of the ocean.
That is phenomenal. This is just like amazing. And then a sitting area out here, and then yeah, the most beautiful view of the ocean.
Thanks for watching our tour of Jeffreys Bay, South Africa.
Stay tuned for our next episode on Naisna on the Garden Route.
Please subscribe and give us a big thumbs up. Bye!
set an open course for the virgin sea. On board I'm the captain, so climb aboard, I'll try, oh Lord, I'll try to carry on. Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me, lads. Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me.
December 9th, 1992. Britain's Prince Charles and Princess Diana announce they are separating. It happens more than a decade after their widely watched wedding that seemed like something out of a fairy tale. Divorce becomes final for the royal couple nearly 4 years after their split. 1854.
There's not to make reply, there's not to reason why, there's but to do and die.
Alfred, Lord Tennyson's famous poem, The Charge of the Light Brigade, is published in Britain. The Victorian-era poem recounts the climax of a battle during the Crimean War in what's now Ukraine. 1990. Poland chooses Solidarity Union leader Lech Wałęsa as its first popularly elected president. Wałęsa wins a runoff vote by a landslide, another sign of communism's collapse in Eastern Europe. And 1916, actor and film producer Kirk Douglas is born in Amsterdam, New York. Among his roles, Spartacus, Vincent van Gogh, and several tough guys. Among his children, son Michael Douglas, also an actor and film producer. Today in History, December 9th. Camille Bohannon, The Associated Press.
The National Coronavirus Command Council has decided to enforce a nationwide lockdown.
That's not what they really said.
You ready?
We'll see.
That's a yes or no question.
Yes.
Are you sure?
No.
Huh? What? We got a guy. Cool. Hit it. First things first. The rules are simple.
Hey, what's rule number 1? Party? No, not party.
Whoopsie, I forgot the seatbelt rule.
Oh, so she knows the rules?
I told her just a few of them. Well, now it's a party.
Awesome.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Let me give you some really good advice. Spill it. Smile and put on a happy face.
Okay, we've broken a lot of rules.
You guys want to party like rock stars. You're all insane.
You having a good time?
Yeah.
I can't stop the. 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 Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good creeping up on you, so just dance, dance, dance. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. Ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. Everybody say.
Somewhere west of the Mississippi River, a group of young guns convened. There was Sammy the Kid Poopo, Cactus Slingin', Jet Chillin', Jack Ray,
National Coronavirus Command Council has decided to enforce a nationwide lockdown.
I want to punch you right in your dumb face right now.
We want to fight bad guys. It defines who I am.
I'm gonna have to get dirty.
Oh, no, that's personal. Come on, honey, let's just keep it fun. Thought we were in trouble there for a second, but it's fine. We're fine.
There's no, like, real magic in the world, right?
Maybe. Snowy, look at this.
When I wake up in the morning, love.
This one?
Hey, look, if I was drunk, would I be able to do this?
What an outfit. Thank you. Thought it might be too much.
Are you gonna walk me home or what?
Good question. Wrong answer. She's right there. You're not gonna do anything?
What are you, an idiot?
Don't call me an idiot, Dixon.
I didn't call you an idiot. I asked if you was an idiot.
This is breaking and entering.
We haven't broken anything.
Well, that's just great. Oh, what a day. What a lovely day.
It's actually quite good fun.
Yes. That's it. We've run out of options. Just pretend to be dead. I'll be here.
Oh my God, please help me.
You know this is pathetic, right?
I'm just going round and round in circles.
Take your hands off my lobby boy!
Have you lost your mind? No, ma'am. But you about to.
Long ago and far away, in my old common labor shoes, I turned the whole wild world away, just because you asked me to.
Like into no other feeling. Simple love is simple truth. There's no end to what I'll do. Ooh, just because you asked me to.
Let the world call me a fool, but if things are right with me and you, that's all that matters, and I'll do anything you ask me to. Let the world call me a fool, but if things are right with me and you, that's all that matters, and I'll do anything you ask me to.
Como se marcha?
Coffee black, cigarette, start this day like all the rest. First thing every morning that I do is start pressing you. Some broken hearts never mend, some memories never end, some tears will never dry. My love for you will never die. Some broken hearts never mend, some memories never end, some tears will never dry. My love for you will never die. My love for you will never Money talks, but he don't sing and dance and he don't walk. As long as I can have you here with me, I'd much rather be forever in blue jeans, yeah.
Honey sweet, but it ain't nothing next to Baby Street. And if you pardon me, I'd like to say we'll do okay, forever in blue jeans, yeah.
Maybe tonight, maybe tonight by the fire, all alone, you and I. There's nothing around but the sound of my heart in your side.
Can you hear me now?
Hey! Money talks, but he can't sing and dance and he can't walk. As long as I can have you here with me, I'd much rather be forever in blue jeans, yeah. Honey sweet, but it ain't nothing next to Baby Street. And if you pardon me, I'd like to say we'll do okay, forever in blue jeans, yeah. Blue jeans, yeah.
Welcome back in our studio, and in today's news.